What's going on, people? FC Wonderkid, episode 94, here with my guy, Brenton. How are you?
I'm doing better than all the Newcastle fans right now. I know how hard that is, but hey, Newcastle United is still on the rise. It was a
Facts.
good attempt, but Manchester United is back in the win column, and you got to give them the credit they deserve. And my goodness, this whole past week, whether Champions League, Europa League, whether it was, Wonderkids making our life a whole lot more fun, it was a wonderful week of football. It was a wonderful week of football. Do you agree? You got to agree, right?
Facts. And Erik ten Hag made history by winning the first title of Manchester United in 5 years' time. The right transfers, the right dealing with the problems at Man United, and the right management at the club with Erik ten Hag. But we'll be getting to that with the Man United Carabao Cup topic. But to start, we've got a huge elephant in the room that is 612 million spent with Todd Boelhy in this new era. And where are the wins? 1 win in 2023, 4 goals scored in 2023, and we're ending the month of February. This is embarrassing management, not just from Graham Potter, from Todd Boelhy too, because the expectations of Todd Boelhy aren't being matched. He can't be happy with what's happening. And I feel sorry. Enzo Fernandez left Benfica to Chelsea for 120 million. Enzo only lost once for Benfica. He's lost 3 times since joining in January. Chelsea. 3 losses already, man. And Chelsea has lost 3 matches in a row too. Graham Potter, man. It's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah, Chelsea officially has a negative goal differential. I believe -2 on the year. And they have lost more than they've won. And I don't know what Todd Boehly needs. I don't know what signs from the universe he needs to know that he doesn't need to spend that much money to have a good team. Chelsea never needed a 500, 600 million euro reboot. Yes, they needed investment, but they did not need this much money, this many players thrown into the mixer with a coach that has no ability to do anything different until he wades through all the different personalities. He's frozen. He's a deer in a headlight as it stands. But what sign do you need any more than the sign that was given to him in this game against Spurs? What was it? It was 22-year-old Oliver Skipp, having been at the club, homegrown at Spurs since he was 12 years old, scoring the opening goal against Chelsea, his first goal ever in 66 appearances for Spurs. What more sign do you need, Todd Boehly, that you don't need to spend 500, 600 million to win 3 points in the Premier League? You don't need to do it. Yes, it's interesting. Yes, we all want to talk about it. I know we're going to be talking about it forever and ever and ever. Amen. But when it comes down to it, sometimes you need a plan. And a plan does not materialize out of thin air. It doesn't come from Graham Potter's face. It literally comes from having people that know what they're doing, and Chelsea does not look like a team that knows what they're doing right now.
Facts. And Graham Potter went to a press conference joking that he had left a crisis meeting. That's not how you deal with problems, and he's showing desperate times. Those are things that you don't do when you're calm and secure. You don't say that. And the difference between Graham Potter and Erik ten Hag and Arteta, because yes, Graham Potter is justifying his results, saying that it's very similar to Arteta, is that Arteta had glimpses of success. Arteta in 6 months won an FA Cup. Erik ten Hag in 6 months now won a League Cup. Graham Potter in 6 months, what did he win? Nothing. And he lost the respect of the Chelsea fan base with comments like crisis meetings in a press conference. That is disrespectful, and I really don't think Todd Boehly is going to go in the long run with Graham Potter. I think they won't have an answer today, but we never know the day of tomorrow, right?
No.
And I have a feeling the day of tomorrow he's off.
Yeah, I mean, he really could be. There are still a whole lot of people that have already vocalized their support, at least,
What?
on Twitter, saying, I don't know, finding somebody else doesn't necessarily get you out of this mess. There's a lot of people that want to blame a lot of these players that just came in.
You
But
can't.
when it comes down to it, this is going to take everybody. This is going to take multiple crisis meetings. This is going to take just going out and scrapping it and getting it done. But Graham Potter is definitely not helping the situation.
True.
He's not helping the situation at all because there is nothing new happening here. I mean, it was literally just like watching the game, hoping something else different was going to happen. But you can't if there's no plan to begin with. And you can't throw money at this situation. This is
Facts.
too competitive of a league. Todd Boelhy, you cannot throw money at this situation. It does not buy points. Maybe in the long run, but this is not working as it stands. I mean, they have not scored in 7 of their last 9 matches.
Oh.
7 of their 9 last matches.
And they
I mean,
signed Moody,
that is
João Felix. They have Aubameyang there. Oh.
Yep. I mean,
yeah, oh my days.
if you want to know exactly where Chelsea's mindset is currently, they are still riding. I don't even know how old Thiago Silva is, but they are still riding Thiago Silva until he literally breaks down. And he broke down today. He broke down today.
It's true.
He did. He's off the pitch. He might be out for a little while longer. I certainly hope he's not. But that is exactly, it's almost like this understanding of what they're doing. They're riding the players that have been good previous to this and hoping that over time, in an accelerated fashion, that all these guys just kind of like understand each other.
True.
That takes time.
True.
That takes time, even for immensely talented players. I don't. It almost angers me.
And Thiago Silva, I'll say this: Thiago Silva is the worst injury that could happen for Graham Potter next to Enzo Fernandez, in my opinion. And me seeing Enzo Fernandez for 5 months in the last few matches he's played for Chelsea, he looks exhausted. And Felix, when he arrived, he was sharp. Now, I don't know what's happening. They really don't seem like they have the guidance on the pitch. And in the corners, you can see a lot of the preparation. And Enzo Fernandez wasn't prepared in the corner in that Tottenham game. So I personally, again, I think Chelsea this season are focusing on the future of the club a lot. Even with what you mentioned, Kendry Paez, okay, 15-year-old that scored from Independiente.
Oh my gosh.
15 years old and he scored professionally for Independiente del Valle. Kendry Paez. Andrés Santos has already been signed with the stars of the Copa Sudamericana. And you have Enzo Fernandez, the golden boy of the World Cup too. So Chelsea is like just signing these South Americans, investing for the future. So Kendry,
it's a hunt for Pokemon. It's a hunt for Pokemon. I mean, they're trying to be City Football Group, who built this type of architecture over the last 10 years. In terms of some of these guys will never see the field. Right? Kendry Paez, they're going to go sign him as a 15-year-old when he can't even make the hop across the pond until he's 18. Okay? And yeah, you want to put age, whatever. It's the birth date that kills me. This kid was born in 2007. He was born in 2007. He scores on his debut, and Independiente del Valle, I mean, once again, creates a gem. But this gem just got on the field, and Todd Boehly is already trying to get his signature.
Elite
okay?
scouting. And Andrés Santos, before the Copa Sudamericana, they had signed him already, and he was a star.
Yep.
And they signed him. There were rumors before he scored that debut goal that he had signed for Chelsea.
But do you really think Chelsea fans give a crap about a 15-year-old that's not going to help them for 3 years?
No, I agree. I agree with that.
I don't understand it. Like, these are not, we don't know what's going to happen. This kid could break his leg at 15 and a half and never play again. I certainly hope he turns into some Ecuadorian superstar, a la, Moises Caicedo is possibly I think he's the most expensive transfer in Independiente's history, and this guy will probably get, I don't know, Todd Boehly will throw $40 million at him for a 15-year-old. Who knows? But I just don't necessarily understand, again, what is happening here. There is no Eric Ten Hag that is saying it's my way or the highway. Exactly. Graham Potter has been overrun by, it's not ego, It's simply this massive amount of learning that he has to do with Mykhailo Mudryk has different needs on the pitch than Enzo Fernandez. Fernandez has different needs than I'm already forgetting all these other players, right? You know what I'm trying to say here? Like, it's not as eloquent as I would like it to be, but what we know, you were talking about preparation for Enzo earlier. Yeah. Well, nobody in this industry, nobody that watches these games as a football fan expected or were prepared for Todd Boehly to throw 500 million euros plus at a Chelsea football team that did not need it, and for it to fail from the get-go. Enzo Fernandez makes any team he walks into better. And somehow, Chelsea's worse. Not because Enzo's a bad player, simply because there's too many people. It's management.
It's the boss.
It is.
It's Graham Potter. It's amazing. I'm starting to see, like, it has to be Graham Potter, the person that gets the blame.
It's a combination.
In 15 games. 2 wins. Yeah. And in 2023, life didn't change at Chelsea. It seems the same. It seems horrific, honestly, the environment at the club. Even Todd Boelhy watching the games.
Yeah, man. And Tottenham scored 2 goals. Do you know how much both of those players that scored, do you know how much they cost for the club?
Zero. Learn Chelsea. And they have an amazing academy. And yes, they do sign players to the academy. But it's at a cheaper rate than an Enzo and Mudryk. And Mudryk, 6 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. It's not because Mudryk ain't talented. It's because the management of the team of Chelsea ain't done the right way. Sterling, Mudryk, João Felix obviously has to play with a striker ahead of him. Seferovic, I've said it. Seferovic scored more than 20 league goals. Check out where Seferovic is now. Okay, it was because of João Felix he did that. So it's at Chelsea they need a striker too. It's unbelievable. And Enzo Fernandez has no midfielder next to him. That's why he looks exhausted, as I said in the episode. Kante is injured. Kovacic is so needed. It's crazy how bad Chelsea look without it. Well, that's doing vertical passes now at Arsenal. Arteta's inspiring, as it seems. So a lot of wrong decisions, even in the midfield problem at Chelsea. And Mount.
If you wanted if you wanted confirmation, exactly. If you wanted confirmation that it was not the players beforehand that were the problem long term, I mean, this is it. This is it. And maybe 3 years from now. Or who knows? Maybe it's an Arsenal turnaround, and it's next season. Chelsea is going for the gold, right? but it certainly does not feel like it. There is a whole lot of pain ahead for Chelsea fans and for the Chelsea. I mean, they've won 8 and they've lost 9 this season, right? I don't think anyone expected that going into it. And surely the team and the personnel that they had last year, I don't think they'd be in this situation as it stands if there wasn't some spending spree that happened. So Todd Boehly, I think, is definitely, first off, he bought the team, okay? So he can do with it whatever he wants, 1. 2, he does have to take some of the blame here. I don't think it's all Graham Potter. I don't think Graham Potter is equipped for what was thrown at him and for the amount of resources. But when it comes down to it, I don't know who is equipped for this at this moment. That's 2 episodes now. We've mentioned Jose Mourinho, so maybe.
But
I don't know.
That's what a lot of Chelsea fans. But tell us down below, what do you think should be the solution of Chelsea? Who should start for Chelsea? Who shouldn't play? For sure, if you're playing Felix, you play Aubameyang or David Fofana, even if you need. Just play a striker, man. Legitimately. You'll see the difference. But tell us your thoughts down below. But you mentioned the coach that is doing magic. That is Erik Ten Hag. He said it was the beginning of a new era when he arrived at Manchester. And just like when he was at Ajax hadn't won a trophy in 5 years. And now Man United, he has won their first trophy after 5 years at the club. And why did that happen? Because of Casemiro, because of Rashford's changed mentality. Shout out to Benny McCarthy. And the right choices being done consecutively. And that's Erik Ten Hag's doing. So I wanted to
Ah.
start that.
Ain't it true? And I think they're at the beginning stages of doing it with Jadon Sancho too.
I
mean,
agree.
I honestly think a year from now, we're not going to get maybe Dortmund Jadon Sancho again, but we're going to get Eric Ten Hag's version of it.
Well,
And I'm excited because he's willing to take. I mean, rehab projects is not the right way to put it, but it does feel like he's restarting or reamping up a personality like he did with Marcus Rashford. It's amazing what a boss that believes in you does for a player, and Marcus Rashford is the testament to that, with 25 goals this season, 34 goal involvements, a goal in the Carabao Cup, and a trophy that he can take home. And this is not a guy, once again, that had 80 million thrown at him.
Top
right?
three player in the world right now.
In form?
Marcus Rashford? Oh!
Yeah, in form? Yeah, in form. Yes.
Mbappe,
absolutely.
Rashford. I'd say that's a pretty good list.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many goals it is in 2023 right now, but Marcus Rashford just can't stop scoring.
Facts.
And that's a wonderful problem to have. And this was also, we got to remember, this is coming off of Marcus Rashford had one of his worst performances of 2023, which is it's a low bar. It's a high. I don't know what the term is, but Marcus Rashford was coming off of a dud of a performance against Barcelona. It wasn't his greatest performance. It wasn't his greatest performance.
But he was there. He was there. There was really good runs.
He was there. But really listen, that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. You come back, you go, and you move on with it. But listen. Mm-hmm. This is the difference between throwing money at somebody just to throw money at somebody and throwing money at a 30-year-old, now 31-year-old Casemiro, coming off of winning La Liga, winning Champions League, being part of one of the best midfields this football has ever seen, right? And accepting a new project. And that does come down to Eric Ten Hag. And you know who I'm going to give a little bit of credit to? Ooh, you're going to hate it. I'm going to give a little credit to the Glazer family. I am, because Eric Ten Hag gave them his vision, and then they helped him execute it by giving the money that was necessary to bring in Casemiro, okay, to bring in some of these other players. Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, they have turned Manchester United, even amidst this craziness, into a commercial juggernaut. I know most people don't want to look at that and say, yeah, well, that doesn't mean trophies in the door. Understandable. But as far as a business goes, Manchester United is doing just fine and will never have administrative problems. They'll never have any problems from here on out, because it is still, even when they were at their worst, it was still a big club commercially. Okay? So you got to give but Ten Hag is bringing that playing field back, right? He's bringing them back. And I hear that, and that's the trophy. This is the first little testament to what he has done. And it's not little. I'm not belittling it in any way, shape, or form. It is a trophy that was well-deserved and won by the team that should have won on the day. And when it comes down to it, it's because Casemiro did Casemiro things early. And it's literally the one thing that we have said over the last year and a half, 2 years since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer days. It is the one thing we said that they needed, and they went out and they got him.
A defensive mid, legitimately. And the best defensive mid in the world. And Scott McTominay and Fred couldn't do the job.
Yeah. And he's scoring goals now too, apparently, right? He's scoring goals in the Carabao Cup.
Needed goals. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. In my opinion, Casemiro was the best transfer done by any Premier League team this summer. You had amazing deals like Boelhy, Zinchenko, Haaland, but the level of Man United from where they were to where they are now, Casemiro's the reason why that happened. Obviously with the management of Eric Ten Hag, but Casemiro's the leader and the inspiration on the pitch, in my opinion. And Rashford, you mentioned. 25 goals scored already. And Eric Ten Hag had to make the tough decision with Cristiano Ronaldo. And even now Sancho. He's coming back at the right time too. I agree with that. And Elanga's on loan. Annabelle Mejri on loan. Amad Diallo, I think he scored a good goal on loan. So even players that are growing up from Carrington, they have a plan. And they feel like there's a boss that looks at the youth too with Eric Ten Hag. So it's the transfers. So Eric Ten Hag changed Man United with transfers, dealing with all the problems at the club, investing in the youth, and bringing results, winning results. And that comes with all these ticks being done the right way. So Eric Ten Hag, big credit to that.
And here's the thing: it's because he took a logical step up. Ajax obviously has resources, but they don't have the stage except in those few years during the Champions League that they were just so scintillating and so amazing to watch, right? But Erik ten Hag took this next logical step up. And instead of flooding him with resources and buying him every player imaginable, he was the one that submitted the business plan, right? The playing field plan, everything of how Manchester United was going to make it back to the top or close to the top, or at least in the fighting. And the Glazers then said, okay, here you go. And that, I believe, they're going to have issues in the future. I'm sure they're going to have disagreements, but it's going to be how they can work through it and the communication that comes from that. And if you can't communicate, there's no communication going on at Chelsea. There's nothing. There's nothing going on except here's a new player, make with it what you will. Put them all in. Put a square peg in a round hole and expect a different outcome, okay? True. And what's coming down to it, United has the ability to use their resources to get infinitely better from a paper standpoint, looking at the paper players, right? Looking at these players, wow, this person is so much better than so-and-so. But at the same time, none of that matters unless it fits into whose philosophy.
True, but still.
Ten Hag's philosophy.
Like Martinez is a big name brought in. Like, and I'm going to say there's an elite stat too that shows that when Casemiro came to Man United now, things changed because Bruno Fernandes, okay, people, and Casemiro, when they played together for Man United, they haven't lost one match, okay, on record. They are still unbeaten, and Bruno Fernandes, Portuguese Magnifico, and Casemiro will make sure that the Europa League, the Premier League, and the FA Cup, they'll be fighting to get that too next to the League Cup too. So that's the winning mentality of these two players that change everything. And Rashford now is all with the celebration too, showing it's all about confidence. That it really is all about confidence. But yes, Newcastle, it was the first match of Cardiff in 728 days. Okay, that was a big handicap straight from the start, in my opinion. Sure. Nick Pope would have been different, in my opinion, too, from the start of the game because he would give much more security. And I agree. I can't even think what the Newcastle players were thinking in defense before the match started. But, United deserved the win, and that happened.
They did. And Bruno, I mean, it was also unfortunate timing in that Bruno was coming back from that 3-game ban, so he looked not his best, I guess you can say. But that's also a product of what Casemiro was doing. I think what Fred had a pretty good game for United as well, in this final. But you do have to say, I mean, these are two clubs that are incrementally taking. Okay, Newcastle went from incrementally. It was kind of straight up, but there's a plan. There's a plan in place, and Newcastle met Manchester United, and Manchester United was the better team on the day. And Newcastle now has the ability to go back and put that score sheet up, put that result up on their locker room wall, and say, this is what we have to work towards. This is what we gotta do. This, we gotta continue to build. And Newcastle is very clearly a couple more pieces away from winning their trophies, I think. Exactly. But one piece, you mentioned confidence when it comes with Marcus Rashford, and we think a lot of that obviously comes from Erik ten Hag believing in Rashford and telling him so, okay? And it's just amazing. Eddie Howe has done the exact same thing with Miguel Almiron and where he has come, and it is and Joe Linton, absolutely. And he has come, Miguel Almiron, when they were taken over, right? When they were taken over, Miguel Almiron was pretty much in every Newcastle fan's mouth out there, was one of the first ones that they saw as he is discardable. He is the one that should be left behind. He should be shipped to Bournemouth or something of that nature, okay? And maybe it wasn't that stark, but at the same time, it felt like it, okay? And now, what does he do? Miguel Almiron is still, I believe, their top scorer on the year, 1. And 2, he just earned himself a long-term contract, well-deserved long-term contract. So you want to talk about what confidence does for somebody? Miguel Almiron is, to a much lesser extent, the Marcus Rashford of Newcastle at this moment in time, and it is great to see, even in their losing efforts.
To an extent,
Yeah.
yes. I like that
Oh, of
shout.
course,
I
to an
like that
extent.
shout. I like that shout.
To a much smaller extent. I have to confirm that with you.
Oh man, love it. So I mentioned with the Casemiro talk another player, and this team, Man City, Arsenal won, and Man City won their game too. Okay, the title race is on between these two teams, and someone cannot stop breaking records. Okay, and Erling Haaland officially is the Man City player with most goals scored in the league, a record previous hold by Aguero with 26 goals. And Haaland broke the record in 24 games. This man is ridiculous, world-class talent at 22. At 22. It's unbelievable. And he came to win the Champions League for Man City. So I expect Erling Haaland to go bold in the second leg of Leipzig in the Etihad. Guardiola masterclass, I gotta say, in the first leg. But Haaland, go bold in the Champions League. That's your competition, man. So
that is it is the most the least fanfare when it comes to it of somebody scoring 27 Premier League goals by February with 13 or so games remaining, and yet it feels in many spaces it feels like it's not even a blip on the radar of most people. More people cared about finding Phil Foden and seeing him come back against Bournemouth, in my opinion, than they did Erling Haaland scoring his ridiculous, amazing 27th Premier League goal of the season. Honestly, I feel that exact same way. It's almost kind of like ho-hum now. You know, where do we go from here with Erling Haaland at 22? What is going to I don't know if this is the right word to say, but what is going to titillate us moving forward about what Erling Haaland can do? And that's exactly why over the last 2 weeks you heard so many people say what? Well, Erling Haaland just didn't really make Manchester City much better. Maybe he picked the wrong club, right? Maybe he picked the wrong club to go to. We don't need to name names of who said that, but I'm sure you can guess.
Managing the team. How can
It's
someone say that?
I know.
That's shambolic. And he's 27 goals scored in the Premier League, something that has been unprecedented in recent times, man. Whoever says that has no ball knowledge, man, because even when Guardiola said like it was that that Aguero, I can't see a player replacing him. Now he's looking at Haaland like, whoa. Yeah. And for me, the craziest thing about Man City with Erling Haaland is Haaland scores 27 Premier League goals, and Julian Alvarez in the same game with Bournemouth scores 2, and he's the replacement for Erling Haaland long term that has won a World Cup playing striker, the position of Haaland. So it's just insane, the business, like the decisions at the top from Man City. I just wanted to say that.
and here's the funny thing is it's all for naught at Manchester City if they don't win the Champions League final, right? Exactly. And you mentioned Julian Alvarez getting overshadowed by the 27th goal of 27th Premier League goal of Erling Haaland. Well, Phil Foden, who hasn't played as much in 2023 as I'm sure he would have liked. There were questions of, is Phil Foden even in Pep Guardiola's future anymore? Has Phil Foden lost the confidence of Pep Guardiola? Well, let's just rewind a bit because people are allowed to have like lesser periods of form. Phil Foden just played his 200th appearance. 200th appearance for Manchester City. He's 22 years old. He has 11 trophies. 11 trophies to his name, okay? And on top of that, he has 98 goal involvements in those 200 appearances, which clearly were not all starts. So Phil Foden has him being literally one of the only, except maybe Rico Lewis now, one of the only Manchester City Academy players that has been by Pep Guardiola's side from the beginning, has refused to go out on loan in order to prove himself to Pep Guardiola. He deserves everybody's respect when it comes down to it. And no, he has not lost Pep Guardiola's confidence. Stop it. Okay. And he showed that against Bournemouth.
And Grealish is gaining the confidence too in Man City fans because he is scoring crucial goals. And Mahrez involved, Bernard Silva involved. I liked some comments about Thierry Thierry that he said Haaland needs to understand more the movements of his teammates. And I completely agree. A lot of the runs that Haaland does, they don't seem to have a lot of the intent of what Bernard Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, what they're thinking and what he's thinking. So I think we're going to see an improvement from Erling Haaland long term with how he plays with his teammates. This is what's going to improve the most with Pep Guardiola. Yes, the touch, the pass, everything will improve in terms technically too, but the way he understands the game, that's going to be the biggest change with Erling Haaland when he leaves Man City one day to join Real Madrid or Barca. We don't know. I'm being hopeful.
It's one of those things where it feels like it can be instantaneous to understand how to play to somebody's strengths, especially your teammates, but it takes time to understand how to minimize your teammates' weaknesses, right? And that's the biggest thing, I think, that Erling Haaland, it takes time for him to understand that Rodri or Gundogan is not going to always play that behind the behind the center backs through ball that Haaland used to get as part of a counter with Borussia Dortmund. Like that was the bread and butter at Dortmund, right? It was just Haaland's fast. Haaland is also incredibly strong. Just play it behind him.
Bellingham.
It'll go well, right?
Bellingham
exactly
would get that pocketed past
and to understand that takes time. It doesn't, Todd Boelhy, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm sorry.
And we said Man City won, and there's a title race. There was an important win too from Arsenal's point of view. And the most important piece of news I see from the Arsenal camp, it's finally Arsenal, after getting the Martinelli extension, I see positive news about the Saka extension, the most important extension at this club, and they have to get it done ASAP. The news says until 2028, so great job Arteta, Edu, everyone involved, because Saka is at 21 one of the best wingers in football. Football. And I wanted to say that.
other encouraging signs. You obviously hit on the big one there because Saka. Yeah, you got to get that done, and them getting Martinelli done. I mean, this is your co-leading scorer, co-leading goal scorer for Arsenal this season.
And no Jesus now.
But yeah, exactly. And now I just need to say, the next thing that I saw that was incredibly positive that builds these things for the future were Arteta's words about Fabio Vieira. Too, he loves his development, and he's saying it's almost so tough for him right now to keep him off the pitch amidst this.
People know.
And he is somebody, Fabio Vieira is somebody that could wind up being an X factor, not just for this season late on, but also for future seasons. Because remember, Arsenal's still got a fun little Europa League tie that I'm pretty sure Fabio Vieira is going to play a big part in the very near future.
I can say this, Fabio Vieira, in terms of under 23 players, vision on the pitch, he has one of the best visions in football. The way he sees the game, in terms of playmaking and passing ability too, he is a top assister. So people, please special attention to this development that Brett's talking about Arteta with Fabio Vieira. I love that. And no Partey, and Jorginho is doing the job. And Jorginho is being coached by Arteta. You can see that. And it's not just Jorginho with Sarri now. It's Jorginho with Arteta doing proper passes and being key to the link-up play of our Arsenal too. So I got to give credit to that.
And if you're going to give credit to Jorginho, I'm going to give credit to Leandro Trossard because he once again plays a role. And this is what it comes down to. Instead of getting sucked into a bidding war that might have consequences, Mudryk could turn out to be whatever, the steal of a century in the near future or whatever. But in terms of right now, in the midst of a race, Trossard has already played a massive part and Jorginho has already played a massive part. So I think Arsenal, while shrewd, were right to do what they had to do as they get ready to duke it out with Man United and Man City to win this thing, to potentially win this thing. And the other thing I got to say that I love seeing, they just beat and clean sheeted. That's not a verb, but they just beat Leicester City, who's been much improved, 1-0 away. Okay. And I love hearing that Gabriel and William Saliba are kind of getting into a tiff on the field. about how it was done. As long as it remains civil, as long as it remains constructive, that's exactly what you want to see. We just beat them 1-0. We just kept them scoreless, and yet there is still more to improve. William Saliba has not been his perfect self. He's 21. He should not be his perfect self, but he is still one of the best, if not the best, young center back in the Premier League, and obviously one of the best in the world. I still think, yeah, Ronaldo Rouge. But Ronaldo Rouge, he's got 2 years on him. He's ancient compared to William Saliba. I think more so a lot of people are talking about Josko Gvardiol versus Saliba at this moment in time. But I still think, you put Saliba in the Bundesliga and he can do what Gvardiol's doing.
But I think Gvardiol, the World Cup form, I think this season, I know Saliba's being instrumental for Arsenal, but for Croatia and now for Leipzig, even that draw against Man City, Gvardiol had a hand, man. But I loved how you said that. Gabriel and William Saliba, no doubt in my mind, are the best centre-back pairing. Oh, Lisandro Martinez and Varane.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah.
It's a tough discussion now. It's because no Maguire is here. No Maguire. So those are the top 2 duos when Ruben Dias is injured.
I gotta ask you, Alex. Do you miss your Harry Maguire hatred?
No, I really don't.
Do you miss railing on him every week?
I really am happy about that because now we have an archive of how we were right.
It's true.
With center back, with defensive mid. And there's a lot more. If you're listening to episode 94, we get more things right than wrong, people. So I wanted to give a shout out to a special thing, a Portuguese man. I know Fabio Vieira's at Arsenal too, but there's another Portuguese man on loan, and he's already got 6 goals scored. Nuno Tavares. Nuno Tavares. We have Nuno Mendes, Nuno Tavares. Now Fabio Vieira at Arsenal there, but Nuno Tavares has 6 goals this season as a wing-back for Olympique de Marseille. The second loan that seems to be successful after Saliba too. Guendouzi didn't go too well, but Nuno Tavares seems to be going well, so I wanted to give that shout out.
It does seem to be going well, and Marseille is technically still in the run of things. Ligue 1, and I know that they're facing PSG very shortly, but without leaving the Premier League, if we're done with Arsenal, I just have to agree with some of our compatriots, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube, anyone that is a rabid Liverpool fan. I don't know how you feel anything but embarrassed as it stands. I mean, to follow up that Real Madrid, that implosion and the 5 spot that Real Madrid put on them, to follow it up with a 0-0 tie. 0-0 draw against Crystal Palace. I don't know what the future has in store for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, but it doesn't seem positive unless there's massive change abreast.
It will be. I think Klopp.
But where do you start?
With Bajcetic. With Bajcetic being there and letting go of Fabinho, Naby Keita's going, and I think this season for Liverpool, they just need to realize that they just made horrible decisions in the past with their midfield. Naby Keita, Wijnaldum being let go, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and then you rely on Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott, I think he's going to be good, but Bajcetic is the best of the midfielders right now, and he's 18, and that's a problem. Thiago Alcantara, Fabinho, Henderson, you got a lot of names. So Liverpool have to put all their chips, in my opinion, in getting Jude Bellingham. And I really feel that way. Bajcetic, Jude Bellingham, and Jordan Henderson or Thiago Alcantara would obviously have much better results than what we're seeing this season. And I think Klopp's going to rely on that.
Yeah, and it feels like there's obviously this injury bug that has hit them. But at the same time, I mean, one of the biggest things that just confuddles me, if that's even a word, is the play of Fabinho, the play of Matip. I mean, some of these guys that were so big and so instrumental for them last season have really taken just a massive step back.
Facts.
Right? And that is what I don't know. Is that Klopp's fault? Is it just the players' fault? Is Klopp asleep at the wheel when it comes down to just assuming everything? I mean, maybe there needs to be more competition, right, for those spots. The issue is when the competition is the 60 million spend you had on Naby Keita or Ibrahima Konate, who can't stay healthy most of the time, or Joe Gomez coming back from his 19th ACL surgery. I don't know. You need to bring in new blood and trust people like you've been forced to do. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have happened if there wasn't an injury like you've been forced to do with Stefan Bajcetic, okay? Mm-hmm. That's not Klopp saying, I really liked him in training. I'm going to give him a go. No, he's only doing that because he's down to his bare bones when it comes to it. And there needs to be more trust, I think, put in that academy, even while they are fighting for what used to be fighting for a Premier League title.
No, it's top four. They're fighting for that top four, and Chelsea.
They are.
Chelsea's fighting more closer to the relegation. But what I'd say, the difference is like Liverpool all these years had to match Man City, and always with big signings, but rushed with Naby Keita, in my opinion. Even Jota, when he came. Jota was a great signing, but he was rushed. Gakpo rushed. So, in my opinion, this is a consequence of you can get right decisions a lot of times, like Man City, Brighton, Newcastle, but you get to a stage that too many wrong decisions or a pile of wrong decisions will make damage. And Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, all these wrong decisions are doing damage right now. So that's why I'm pointing fingers.
Yeah, and while I think it's probably not feasible for them to get Bellingham, I know you have optimism. You have optimism. What I mean, Declan Rice, for what has been a massive drop off for West Ham. Declan Rice has been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League consistently all season. Okay.
Boelhy too.
Yeah. What would keep Liverpool? Except I know Declan probably has the want to go to Chelsea at some point,
or
right? But Liverpool, if you can actually lay out a project for him, of which he's a big focal point, and then if you can't get Declan Rice, you might as well start looking abroad, and I'm gonna say it, get Manuel Ugarte. Because
yes.
He's been on the tips of everybody's tongue, but obviously he has shown his quality, and everyone's starting to pep up to it over the last few weeks, and he's going to do it again against Arsenal, except he's going to be missing in that first leg due to yellow card accumulations.
Exactly.
But
Man,
like Liverpool,
Ugarte, Jude Bellingham, Manu Kone, Bajcetic too there. Manu Kone, I'd love to. That would be a proper signing too. And if they want to go hella bold for the future, just get a Florian Wirtz, man. Florian Wirtz back from the ACL. He's back, as it seems, no problemo. I'd go bold and get him. I bet he got that extension short term too. So he's going to be very expensive, but you might as well get him now because he'll be even more expensive in 6 months' time.
Fair enough.
So I just wanted to say that. But there's a lot of names, a lot of positive. Even Mason Mount, I've seen his name being shouted out for Liverpool. So it'd be interesting. A good work rate for Klopp. Bajcetic, Mason Mount, and a Jude Bellingham. But still, Ugarte. Great shout, Breton. Great shout. I love it. But tell us down below, what did we miss with the Premier League? We want to see your comments. But I mentioned Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz in his last 4 games has 2 goals and 3 assists. He was out 10 months from football, and I'm hyped. I'm going to say this. He's my top 5 Wonderkids to watch, definitely. Definitely. He could already play for Germany next to Jamal Musiala. Wirtz and Musiala. Yeah. So I first shout out.
Well, yeah, and he's working his way back into that best teenager conversation for a little while longer. And now that Jamal Musiala has, graduated to 20 years old, I mean, it's Florian Wirtz, Jude Bellingham in the Bundesliga still making waves. And it's just, you love these types of comeback stories, right? There is never a guarantee. Yes, it's a little bit easier with a younger body, right? With a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old that gets injured, but there's no guarantee that he comes back. If you look at his form, right? If you look at what he's done, what Florian Wirtz has done over the first 2 months of this 2023, it doesn't look like this kid has ever been injured at all.
Facts. Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
And Bundesliga, world-class Wonderkids, Jude Bellingham, Florian Wirtz, Josh Cook-Vardiol, Jamal Musiala, Dominic Szoboszlai, like Matisse Tell. You got so many.
I don't know what's going on with Reina right now, but Reina,
good shout. So many Wonderkids to watch in the Bundesliga. It's insane. But Gvardiol, legitimately, people, I believe he can become the best center back in the world. He's got that potential, and he's played left back for Croatia in the Euros in the past too. So he's got that versatility. He's so young, and he's such a leader for Leipzig and for Croatia too. Joško Gvardiol, unbelievable.
But
100
but
million.
you think he's about to get exposed by Haaland at the Etihad? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what Haaland needs to do. That's why Haaland is there. That's why Haaland is renowned as the best Wonderkid in the Champions League since Cristiano Ronaldo, it seems, with those stats he had from the start. So that's what I think it needs to happen.
And hey, the best story is not just Gvardiol, it's not just Wirtz in the Bundesliga. It's collectively a team that we've kind of, I don't want to say made fun of over the last few years, but let's just say there's a big reason why Borussia Dortmund has won 9 in a row right now.
True.
And it's actually incredibly simple. Before you try and break it down. It is a manager. He's a 40-year-old manager that knows Dortmund through and through, okay? But it's more so, guess what? Guess what's light right now? What's light is the workload of their doctors. What's light is the workload in their physio room. They don't have many long-term injuries as it stands. And if you keep Dortmund and the amount of talent that they have, if you can keep them relatively healthy, they generally can actually do some good things. And then you add in there a more mature Jude Bellingham who's doing everything. You add in there some depth up top, even though it's not as kind of punch you in the face type, not Haaland scoring goals left and right. Instead, it's Adeyemi gets hot. Then Haller scores a goal. Then it's Marco Reus coming back from injury and doing some good things. And oh, by the way, you have Julian Brandt, who most people think is 32 years old. A 26-year-old Julian Brandt scoring goals left and right and really, really important goals and playing out of his absolute mind for Borussia Dortmund right now. And then you say, you know what? Yeah, 9 out of 9 is not that crazy. It's really, really impressive, though, what we're seeing with Borussia Dortmund, and I'm here for it.
9 wins in a row didn't happen with Thomas Tuchel. Didn't happen with Klopp. It happens with Mr. Terzic that knows how to play with the Wonderkids, with Jude Bellingham, captain too, 19 years old captain, and that happens. 9 wins in a row. Equals to Bayern Munich right now in the top of the Bundesliga with 46 points. This is the title race now, and I'm putting my chips in Dortmund because got to trust the Wonderkids. I love that. I love it. I got it. And no striker, man. That Lewandowski, Choupo-Moting, they're relying on him. They're relying on Matisse till 17. Lewandowski leaving Bayern Munich opened the Bundesliga title race, in my opinion. So big win against Union Berlin for Bayern.
They did open it, but we do have to remember they've been without. Bayern Munich has also been without Sadio Mane since November, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he just stepped back onto the field for the first time as Bayern Munich. I don't know if this is too far out of the realm of saying mutilated Union Berlin. Everything that made Union Berlin special was exposed in this particular match, and it wasn't even close. Okay, Bayern just dominated from the get-go. Kingsley Coman showed his absolute quality when he wants to, and then Jamal Musiala kicked it in for, I don't know, what are we up to? Are we up to 20-some goal involvements? It's 23 goal involvements in 24 games or something for Jamal Musiala as a now 20-year-old. Bayern Munich, that's why I'm saying I love your optimism for Borussia Dortmund. I would love to see Gio Reyna lift a trophy. I would love to see the hegemony, if that's the right way to say the word, broken of Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. But because Sadio Mane is back, I'm going to say I think Bayern's doing it.
Oh, man. And we don't need to be so positive, though, about the Serie A, because the Serie A, as it seems, Napoli are now 18 points ahead of the second place Inter that lost to Bologna. It's insane. Kvisha Kvaratskhelia MVP with 10 goals, 9 assists. Oh, the impact for 10 million. I haven't seen anyone like this replacing Mertens and Insigne. It's so bold. And the other player, it's one of the best duos in football right now with Kvisha and Osimhen. Osimhen that equaled the record of Cristiano Ronaldo scoring in 8 consecutive matches in Serie A. 19 goals scored this season and 3 assists Ozzy made. He's going to cost more than 100 million to anyone that goes and gets him for that reason. So I just wanted to give that shout.
And you know, this is a textbook, like, this is how you manage a two-front week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Napoli gets by in the Champions League, and then they take care of their match versus Empoli, right?
True.
And nobody else for some reason could do it. I mean, a lot of the English teams, a lot of the Premier League teams that are throwing money left and right at people,
True.
couldn't do a dang thing to put their ties away in the Champions League. And then they also struggle when it comes to the league, except for obviously City and Arsenal. Well, Arsenal didn't play. But what I'm trying to say here is that Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen, and their amazing rotating cast of characters, and obviously Spalletti knows more importantly, what their weaknesses are when it comes to Napoli. They know how to actually get the job done right now. And 18 points at this point in the season for a team that hasn't won since Diego Maradona was around. Yeah. I mean, that just is so impressive that it's almost impossible to quantify. And the craziest thing here, as you just mentioned, Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen being the best duo right now in world football. It still continues. I'm going to say the best. I'm going to actually go out on a limb.
What they did at Anfield, man, that was pretty historic.
Don't care, because then they drop points, right? In the Madrid derby, and they need 18-year-old Alvaro Rodriguez to bail them out. They've already lost the La Liga. Real Madrid have already lost the La Liga title to Barcelona, in my opinion. Everything is in the Champions League, and I'm going to say, because they're doing it on two fronts, Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen are better than Benzema and Vinicius Jr. right now in terms of form. I have no problem saying that, and I'll go toe to toe with anybody in the comments about that, because right now. I think Haaland gets, he gets it from other places as well. The Osimhen Kvaratskhelia, here's a testament to it. Versus Empoli, okay? Kvaratskhelia did not directly supply an assist to Osimhen, but he indirectly did. He's the one that took the shot at the top of the key. It's like NBA now, at the top of the 18, and it was spilled and right into Osimhen's path, and he roofed it. Okay, this is the type of stuff that Osimhen knows exactly what Kvaratskhelia is doing. He has watched him, he has studied him, and that's the dang reason why he's got 19 Serie A goals already this season. It ain't 27 like Haaland, but it is pretty dang good.
They're the top two. They're the top two in goal scorers right now in the world of football in top 5 leagues.
It's amazing.
So big credit to those two. And Dybala. We get, like, Kvaratskhelia is going bold, but Dybala's going bold too with Mourinho, securing now that top 4 race for Roma with opponents of Lazio. You got Napoli. Napoli's going to win. Inter, Juve. Okay, but Dybala has been crucial for Roma this season. He's got 12 goals scored and 6 assists in 25 games for Roma. The impact with Mourinho, unbelievable. And yeah, Spinazzola's back. Interesting team with Roma. I wanted to say that. Yeah. Mourinho ain't doing a bad job. He ain't doing a bad job.
No, he's not doing a bad job. I will be interested to see how they manage against Real Sociedad in the next round in the Europa League. But I mean, I love what Dybala's doing, and he was monstrous in that game. He was absolutely monstrous in that game. But Osimhen, still, to go back to it, I mean, this not only did he score midweek, right, in the Champions League. Okay, he also then registered another goal in the Serie A, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it is his 8th Serie A game in a row that he has scored a goal.
I said equal Ronald.
Oh, you said that. I missed that. Okay, so my brain is a little foggy because I'm a little sick right now, but it bears repeating, Alex. That's how pretty amazing it is.
It is pretty crazy that happened. And Europa League we were mentioning, okay? Europa League fixtures are out. And I've got a stat here that we were mentioning Serie A. Inter is the team in Europa League history that has scored the most points ever with 329 points. In second, Sporting with 302 points. In third, Tottenham, okay, in Europa League points scored with 292 points. So Inter, Sporting, and Tottenham have history in the Europa League, as it seems. Not the best.
the only issue here is Sporting landed a pretty tough draw.
Very
when
tough.
it comes down to
Arsenal. They're one of
Yeah.
the contenders to win it. I'd say right
Absolutely.
now to win Europa League, or it's Man United or Arsenal
Yep.
or Juventus. Di Maria, what was that? Amazing goal. Remontada. Trust Di Maria, man. Experience. Oh my days.
Freiburg will beat Juventus.
Oh. What?
I don't even really need to qualify it with anything else. I honestly believe that Freiburg will beat Juve.
Ooh, will Freiburg win Europa League for you?
No, I don't think they'll win, but I think everybody is discounting them just simply because they're not used to their name. But they have weapons. They are very organized, and Juve can be broken down.
Man,
They are not good. If Di Maria obviously does what he did, I mean that goal was ridiculous. But it really was. But I don't think. I think Freiburg is going to get by Juve. I think they're going to expose their weaknesses. They're going to get, but we'll break it down as it gets closer, I'm sure. But I am going to say that if I'm going to have to pick one big upset in that round, this round of 16, right? Replenished round of 16, I am going to say Freiburg. And I also am going to say that Feyenoord has a chance as well. They're at the top of the Eredivisie table, and they've been playing pretty good football. And they do have Shakhtar next, but I'm pretty confident they'll get by him. So if you're going to pick anyone other than United and Arsenal, for me, it is going to be, I think Feyenoord has a shot, and I think Roma does potentially have a shot.
Roma, Mourinho, so Man United, Arsenal, Roma, Juventus, all to win Europa League, man. If Jose Mourinho wins the Europa League after winning the Conference League, oh, Jesus, that would be amazing for his legacy of Jose Mourinho. And I'm cool. Look, I've seen worse. I've seen more impossible, being honest. And I'm gonna give a shout out in the podcast to Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, he scored his second hat trick in Saudi Arabia, and as it seems, he's gonna be the all-time goal scorer of the Saudi League. And Marcelo, he's gonna join. Marcelo's going to join Al Nassr. I said it here first.
I thought, what? You think he's still, money talks, but come on. Didn't he say something to the effect of, like, Cristiano Ronaldo's playing on
he's not. Oh, sorry. Marcelo's going to
he's
Fluminense.
not.
No, sorry. I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Sorry, I had it.
All right.
Sorry.
I thought there was a quote out there where I don't know if it was as poignant as this, but it was like, Cristiano Ronaldo scoring goals on easy mode. That's kind of what it is, or maybe that was some TikToker or something that I'm hawking a phrase from. But,
imagine if Cristiano Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia scores more than 91 goals in a calendar year. People will go insane at 38 years old if Cristiano Ronaldo does that. 827 goals in his career, 62 hat tricks. That's pretty insane if he does that.
but there will be a whole lot of people that won't validate that in any way, shape, or form.
It's true. But
and that's Portugal, so once again he leaves Saudi Arabia not to be controversial, and he winds up being controversial if he scores 91 goals. So, obviously, he scored 91 goals in any setting, let alone at his age. It's impressive, and if that's the cherry on the top of his career that he wants to put there, fine. But obviously, after having one or two games where everyone's like, oh look, Cristiano Ronaldo can't even score in the Saudi, that is gone. That is gone and dusted. He clearly has solved those defenses already, and we're not even 4 games in. So I look at it, at what point does he go? This ain't a challenge anymore.
I think so.
Already he's thinking to himself. I know he loves scoring, but he's probably thinking to himself like,
I can go to the Champions League one more season maybe. Well, but we'll see. We'll see with time. I think he's improving now, like mental wise, and I think that was a very tough time. So let's see with Cristiano Ronaldo what happens next. But Sergio Ramos, he announced that he's retired from Spanish national team, and I agree with him. It's pretty sad the way he was treated at the end. He deserved to be in that World Cup, and he even said like how Croatia treated Modric, how Portugal treated Cristiano and Pep. It's true, Spain should have treated Sergio Ramos, one of the greatest center backs ever, not just of Real Madrid, of Spain, better.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember his name, but like Domagoj Vida or whatever his name is, the guy with the ponytail for Croatia.
yes.
I mean, he's no longer at his peak for Croatia, but they brought him why? They brought him why?
Mentality.
For experience,
Yeah.
for mentality. And that's exactly what Spain actually was probably missing late on in that tournament. You know, so like I look at it and I say, yeah, unless you think Sergio Ramos is going to get in the way, which I don't know who would necessarily think that based on what his career has meant. But clearly clearly Luis Enrique felt that way. So I honestly don't know. But yeah, I mean, hey, what a career. What a career for Spain and doing things that Spain never thought were possible.
True.
Until guys like him and Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets came around.
True.
So
true. And I mentioned Sergio Ramos. I just want to say on the podcast too, episode 94, people. No doubt, okay, Alvaro Rodriguez is going so bold, being one of the best super subs in football, and assists with Osasuna, scoring against Atletico de Madrid too. And I gotta say, give the number 7 jersey to Vinicius Junior. Play Alvaro Rodriguez more next season and give the number 7 to Vinicius Junior. I think it's been shown this week. I wanted to give that to the Real Madrid fans.
I'm glad he did that. I mean, anyone that watched the U20 Sudamericano saw that there are some special Uruguayan talents that almost were able to beat Brazil, right, to the title. Alvaro Rodriguez was at the tippy top of that. Now, Alvaro Rodriguez, I'm forgetting who is in charge of Castilla. It's Raul. It's Raul. Duh. It's Raul. Obviously he's going to spend a little more time at Castilla, but it is great. Like Ancelotti has already come out and said, no, he's a first team player from next season on. There's no doubt in his mind that he is a first-team player, and I'm glad Ancelotti sees it, whether he's going to be there or not. I'm glad he sees that because it's absolutely true. And guess what? He can help him this season too. Whether it's giving Benzema a rest so they can focus on the Champions League and he can play the rest of the La Liga minutes because they've already lost it to Barcelona. Let's give the Clásico one more go. If they beat Barcelona head-to-head, they chip away a little bit. But when it comes down to it, Alvaro Rodriguez, what's even more impressive to me is that in those minutes against Osasuna, where he didn't have that much time to make an impact, he should have had another goal involvement in that game, right? But it was called back, I think, due to somebody being offsides that was not him. And then for him not to get down on himself, to him then to come back and provide that assist to, I think, Asensio is who it was. And then to come back and actually salvage a point in not just any game. For Alvaro Rodriguez to score the equalizer in the 85th minute of the Madrid derby, I mean, come on, it takes a certain amount of cojones. It's great. It's wonderful to see.
And
it's
Valverde,
great to see.
Inspiration of him. Like Ancelotti, what is he doing with these Uruguayan talents, with the Brazilian talents? South America loves Ancelotti. And that's why Brazil national teams try to get a hand of Ancelotti too, man. Rodrigo, Vinicius, Hendrik scoreless too. 12 matches.
Yes.
Whoa, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But I believe in Hendrik at 16. He's got lots of
too.
intangibles too, even without the goals. Trust the process, people.
Because even without the goals, he was starting in many cases. I think off the ball, he really does help. And this isn't like in the same. This kid is barely in age, right? And yet when it comes down to it, everybody thought, the moment he signed that deal with Real Madrid, he should be just running the Brazilian ragged, scoring 20-25 goals a year. That's not how it works. It's not how it works, and he will be. But listen, even while he wasn't necessarily scoring, Palmeiras is in the middle of an 11-game unbeaten streak.
True.
Okay, so it's not like he's part of a team right now that is all struggling because his goal scoring is not happening.
Exactly.
Okay, Endrick, they are giving him the ability to play through these types of spells, not so they can get him down and beat him down. It's more so they can build him up, hopefully, more so that they can build him up like an Abel Ferreira does, build him up after the fact. Give him the confidence to get through this rough patch because it won't be the last rough patch that he has in his career.
Very well said, Breton. And I'm going to say Hendrik will leave the Brasileirão and Palmeiras seen as a better player than when Vinicius Junior left Flamengo. No one, people, can match the level of Sancho with Neymar. Neymar was in the top 10 Ballon d'Or talk, and he's
Yeah.
the first. He's the first and only player since that time when Neymar was at Sanch to be in the South America leagues and to be in the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or. That's insane. So don't put those same expectations with Hendrik at 16, because he'll be at Real at 18, and Neymar was 21 when this happened. But people, if you're listening until now, do not forget to like episode 94. Write in the comments your thoughts about Todd Boelhy with Graham Potter, your thoughts about United, your thoughts about the Wonderkids. Like, we want to see you guys in the comments section. And if you're listening until now, thank you. Thank you so much for going bold until now.